Guys, please watch this video to the end, partly because it's taken me so long to work all of this stuff out and draw it out. One of the things we've been really good at on the channel is predicting the future, and some of our calls were worryingly accurate. And what I've done now is just kind of try to see where we've gone, how much has BTC gone up, how much has BTC gone down, and try and work out where we're going this bear market, so where the bear market bottom is going to be. But most importantly, how much upside do we see in the following rally? What's the price going to be in the next cycle? Because you see Brian Armstrong, CZ, Michael Saylor, hodl, 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 right? Hold your Bitcoin, hold your Bitcoin, hold your Bitcoin. Well, if this is true, which I'm about to demonstrate to you guys, and I'm going to do it with data, and I think I'm doing it in a fair way, I think no one is going to be able to disagree with me that that is an actual terrible strategy to DCA into hodl Bitcoin. Now, I'm not saying that about normal traditional TradFi stocks, okay? Because to DCA Apple, to DCA Nvidia, to DCA Facebook, whatever has been the best strategy, okay? Pretty good strategy just to buy the red days, buy the dips, buy the red days. If you get good at time in the market, even better, right? But I would say it's much harder in stocks than it is with Bitcoin, because stocks don't have this halving cycle where the market crashes by 70% every 4 years. And to me, it makes more sense than ever to time Bitcoin. Now, time the market. There's a famous saying, time in the market over time in the market. I agree with that, but not with Bitcoin, okay? And that's where we've made huge amounts of money by timing Bitcoin. We've timed it to the T, right? We took the huge trade here. I made hundreds of thousands. I said, when we come down to this white line, this is where I'm going to be looking for long positions. This is where I'm going to buy spot altcoins again. And we rallied to the top, right? We bought down here in the bear market. We made 25x here on Casper, so many 25x's. We took some profits off the table. The whole market collapsed, right? We predicted it was going to come down to this support, bounce up to the top, and then I was going to look for a short around 125,000, and it ended up topping at that exact point, right? We had some amazing calls, and my final cellular I posted on the 4th of November. What a ride, guys. We've sold our entire portfolio. That's it. I've sold everything. And since then, the entire market collapsed, right? Bitcoin actually came down over 50% from where we shorted, right? From the top, it came down to 60K. ETH was down over 44%. I think these were a lot more extreme in the end, but 44% BNB, 44% XRP, AVAX 52%, Solana 54, it came down more than that. ADA 59, right? The entire market collapsed, right? Even Aero 68%, AVNT 75%. So we've been very good at predicting the future, and I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of where these market cycles are going, which I'm going to show to you in this video. So please watch it to the end, and also give me your feedback on my strategy with regards to time in the market. Here you can see I took profits from our final BTC long and opened a short. I did open lots of different shorts, and I took some profits off this a little bit too early. And the same with my ETH short. We short close to the top of ETH. I did take some profits, but the main thing here is that we sold all of our crypto and we started to look for short entries, right? So some people were DCAing, buying the dip, and those guys got wrecked, right? Those who were DCAing at 110K, Ethereum at 4K are down massively, some over 50%. Some of the people in Dubai that I speak to are down millions and millions of dollars because they just didn't see the market topping at the time. So we've done very well. I mean, some of these things are a massacre. I mean, look where we sold OLAS. We sold OLAS at $7.40. I literally posted here, it's full of VCs who keep selling, because I was tracking their accounts on chain, right? I was looking at their accounts, and it just doesn't make sense to me. If I'm holding an altcoin and all of the whales and VCs are not prepared to hold it, they're going to sell. Why am I going to hold it, right? The price is going to come down if they're selling. And shame on CoinMarketCap, because I've been looking at some of these assets on CoinMarketCap, and they've changed the way the charts look. So it doesn't look as rug pully. They've done this on a lot of altcoins, I've noticed. And this is how the chart actually looks, right? And this is how it used to look on CoinMarketCap, but they've done this to make it not look so bad. I assume, right? I'm assuming this. And shame on those guys, because it is an absolute horror scene. And this chart looks like, maybe I should buy the dip here, but it's an absolute rug pull. And this is what it should look like. And this is 740. We literally sold here, guys, right? You can't make it up. We pretty much sold the top. and you know, it's down over 99%. It's you know, 100k in here is now worth less than 1k. Like, your entire holdings are wiped, and it's a shame because there was some serious money in there. So we've made some amazing calls this cycle, and you know, we've been pretty good at predicting the future, predicting how things are going to go. That's why we're still #1 on Patreon. Big up all the Discord members. And if you want to join the Discord, guys, whoops, well, there's a little Easter egg for you guys that are watching the video. This is something we bought on the 9th of April. So pause the screen, read that if you wanna get some alpha. Yeah, if you want to join the Discord, head over to my Twitter, search the bottom one, not the top one, search the bottom one, click this link, and you can jump in and get involved with us, join the Discord. You also get our SMC bot that we created in for free once you join the Patreon in your own trading view, which gives buy and sell signals on Bitcoin. This really is what I'm waiting for, right? I'm waiting for this sell signal to start accumulating when we get this sell here, and then I start accumulating, and then you normally get a buy signal as we go into the next bull run, which we haven't seen yet, which I'm going to get into why I think we haven't seen that. So let's get into this. So this is the Bitcoin history chart, and we can see here, if we go right back to the start of the first, well, this is back in 2018, so not officially the first, but the 2018 is enough data for us to work from. So the first correction was an 83% pull down, right? So Bitcoin went up to 20,000, massive rally. It came down 83%, had a huge correction here. And, you know, those who bought at 20K totally wiped out. Obviously, they ended up making money in the end run. I mean, it only went up to 63K. So if you bought at 20K, you weren't hugely up. But again, it had an 83% correction. Then it had a huge rally, massive rally, 1,861%, all the way from the bottom down here. So if you bought the bottom, you made life-changing gains. If you bought the top or close to the top, you didn't really make that much money, even though you got in 2017, because you were buying at 19, 18, 20K. You'd have to sell the exact top just to make any half decent money, right? A 3x, and you're still only, you're still only 3x up. If you bought close to the bottom, or you DCA'd in the bear market, obviously you made an absolute life-changing amount of money, which is what we're trying to do here, right? So very volatile. Every 4 years, it goes into this massive rally, which is kind of induced by the halving cycle, and the halving cycle is where they burn less Bitcoin is available to mine, and huge rally, and then huge correction, right? So we see this consistent pattern happening every 4 years. Massive rally, massive drop. Now, the good thing about this is we can now calculate, based on this data, where the next cycles are likely to be, okay? Not where they're guaranteed to be, but where they're likely to be. Now, this reduction here into the next cycle, so it had a correction by 77%. Okay, so it came down from around 68K all the way down to 16K, as we know this cycle, right? This is kind of the range where we were buying in the bear market and scooping up altcoins, but a 77% correction. So the reduction from the previous cycle, so this cycle here had an 83%, this cycle was 77%. It's a reduction of 6%. Okay, so we can see some sort of a trend here based on history, and we can now use this data to work out where the next drawdowns are likely to be and where the next bull runs are likely to be. So this rally, this cycle, we went from 16K and we went all the way up to 125K, which was a gain of 671%. Okay, so a massive reduction in gains from the 1,000, let's call it an 18x, right? 18, 19x. Massive reduction in gains, 64% reduction in gains, which is expected. Okay, you're not expecting an 18x return on Bitcoin every 4 years because of diminishing returns, because the market cap is becoming bigger, because it requires so much more money now to move the asset. And obviously then you've got gold as a target, and you've got the stock market, and there's all these different variables. But in general, the larger the market cap becomes, the less volatility you're going to see. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have the 4-year cycle anymore. It just means that it is going to require trillions of dollars eventually to 2x, to 3x, okay? And as time passes, this number should naturally drop, okay? So 18x was huge. If you got early into BTC and you timed the market, okay, You timed the market, or even if you DCA'd here, it wasn't so bad because it was an 18x that was coming up. You made some decent gains, and 671%. You had to really be a swing trader to make any decent money here, right? If you bought BTC at 60k, you only really made a 2x if you sold the exact top, which is very hard to do, right? Even though we got close to selling the top and we almost shorted the exact top, it's very hard to do, and it does require some luck, right? So I'll hold my hands up and say, look, there was some luck there. But if BlackRock wanted to, they could have sent it higher. And, there is a little bit of luck there. But it's 671%. It's still decent returns. It's still a good return. It was 16k, went up to 120k. People got frothy. People wanted more. They refused to believe that the top could possibly be here, partly because of the gains that were made in the previous cycle. But if you looked at the data and if you looked on chain, you could see the insiders were selling, the insiders were short in the market. We'd hit that perfect trend line that we talked about on the channel. I said when we come up to this trend line, it was literally the top of the market last cycle. This pattern is looking way too similar for me to ignore. And I expect that we're going to hit the top here and then we're going to come down into our 70% correction. So that's kind of what I predicted. And so far, so good, right? It kind of hit that target up here around 125k, and we're now in a downtrend, in a correction. Even though we see a little bit of green here, guys, we're still in a downtrend. The trend is your friend until the end. We are still going down until we start to break into new highs. The trend is your friend until the end, right? So 671% rally, and now is the important part that we need to talk about. Okay, so if we look at the previous data, so if we look at all of this data here and we work out where the next drawdown is going to be, because we went 83%, we know that there was a 6% reduction to 77%. The next drawdown should take us down to 70% to 73% base case. Okay, so that is my base case. What's a base case? It means it's not bearish, it's not bullish, it's the average expectation of where the price potentially should come down to, right? So let's say the top was 126k. If we come down, I've put it in the middle, right? So I've put it 70 to 73%, so I've put it around 71.8 roughly in the middle. Would take us to 35k. Okay, that's where, if history repeats and everything plays out as it normally does and these reductions are kicking in, then we should roughly be at 35k. Okay, so huge drop from where we are right now. Over a 50% drop from where we are right now. And I don't think many people, I've seen so many people calling for a bottom on BTC. This would be wild. This would be extreme bull case. If we did bottom here at 60k, it would be extreme bull case, because just having a normal, this times not different cycle would take us down to 35k. Let's say bear case, because this is the bull case. Let's say bear case, we do 80%. Let's say there's a black swan event, something bad really happens. We're looking at 25k. Okay, that's for an 80% drawdown, and it's not far off what happened in the previous two cycles. We had 83%, 77%. If we had a crazy black swan event, let's say some sort of hacks that happens, then bear case 80%. Now let's go bull case. Let's say 60% drawdown from all-time high. This is bull case for me, 60%, right? So a massive change from almost 80% to 60%. We're talking about nearly a 20% difference. Would take us down to around 50k, 49k, 50k, 60% correction. Bull case, okay, not conservative. That's my bullish scenario for BTC. Do I think we will go 77% to 50%? No, I really can't see that happening. And also, all of the on-chain data doesn't line up with that happening as well. And that would be this time's different for so many different indicators, and I really can't see that happening, especially with a lot of the FUD that we have is in the market as well. We haven't really had the black swan event happen yet. Usually there's a black swan event that happens every cycle. So let's go. You guys know I'm not waiting for 35k. If you watch the channel, I've already talked about my target and where I'm going to start buying. But let's just say the standard should be 35 to 36k. So this is a really big deal, right? Because if we do come down and repeat history and we have this normal correction, and that means the diminishing returns should go from 671% to a base case, okay, so not bullish, not bearish, but base case of 400% going into next cycle. So let's say this does play out. Let's say we do come down to 35k, and then 400%, so our base case would take us to an all-time high of around 176,000, okay, for Bitcoin. That is next cycle. And this is where it starts to get interesting. This is where my time the market attitude, I think you guys will really understand, because if, let's say we do have a 400% rally next cycle and we top around 176 to 180k, let's say we top around that range, that means the drawdown, because we know the drawdown is reducing, okay, we had a base case of 70 to 73% drawdown for this cycle, for this bear market. That means the next drawdown could be 69%, 70, 69%, okay. That would take us down to 52k. If the all-time high is here around 177 to 180k, that would take us down to 53k in the bear market. Now, this is where I don't think anyone can argue with me. That means all of the bulls and the KOLs and the buyers who are buying at 78k, 72k, 66k, 65k, even 60k, it means that everyone who bought this dip is still going to be at a loss. If this plays out, okay, if history plays out, it means they're still going to be at a loss in 6 or 7 years. In 6 or 7 years' time. And I don't think people really understand that. Everyone is saying, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, right? DCA, buy the dip, buy now, it's 70k, it's going to be 200k, it's going to be 300k. But what I don't think they understand is that there's going to be another 4-year cycle bear market and you're going to be at a loss. So it doesn't make sense to me to hodl. For BTC, not for TradFi, okay? Forget about TradFi. I think we have to change our mentality for BTC, because the returns are diminishing now, and we're not seeing those explosive gains that we saw when it originally started, right? 18x. We're not seeing those explosive gains, which is another reason a lot of people are going into altcoins and are always going to buy altcoins, because they're trying to chase more gains. But the way to make money here was to buy the bear market and sell everything, okay? That was how we made the money. If you held, you lost a lot of money, right? If you held and you didn't sell in Q4, and look, it topped Q4 in November, as it historically always does. It topped exactly where it was supposed to be. Now, loads of people said no, there was none of the top signals were indicating, but the TA literally said this is the top. If there was no signs that we were going to top here, how did I make this prediction? How did I make the prediction that we were going to top around 125k if there was no signals? Not only that, some of the on-chain data also indicated that we should have topped here as well. Okay, so we had the TA, we had the technical, we had the social, we had Trump launching a meme coin, we had all of this crap going on socials. The froth was crazy. ETFs, BlackRock, Fidelity. The president was on the news saying it could replace gold. How many more signals do you need? But yet everyone was saying that there's no top signals here. It's what normally happens at the top, right? It's what normally happens at the top. No one expects it to be the top. And I think I got called an idiot, dumb money, for even suggesting that this was the top of the market. And that's why we made so much money this cycle, right? We bought the bottom. We started to take profits around the local highs, and then we started to short as well. Don't forget, some people don't even short the market, right? So this was all extra capital that we managed to gain. Did we win every trade? Absolutely not. It's impossible to win every trade, and I took loads of losses, but overall, the gains massively superseded the losses, as you've seen. So this is where I think I will never hold. I don't think I'll ever hold this asset. I will hold stocks long term, but I don't think I'll ever hold this asset long term, because if I DCA today, because look, maybe I'm wrong, maybe the bottom's in, right? Let's play devil's advocate. Maybe the bottom's in, we're going to make a new high. It doesn't really matter to me, does it? Because I know that there's going to be another 4-year cycle drawdown. And if there is a high here and we have a 70% correction again, or a 60% correction or whatever, I know the 4-year cycle is in play until it's not. Now, why would I bet on anything else? Why would, if I had have bet on something else happening, if I had have bet this time's different and we're going up to 150k, 200k, like chartered, like a lot of these banks and institutions did, if I had have listened to them and the KOLs saying they're buying more here, if I'd have listened to them, I would have got wrecked. But I listened to history and the chart and the consistency of the chart. Now, what makes this even more likely to happen is because it's just happened, right? It's literally just happened again, this cycle. Every time this happens again, it becomes more solidified into the future, right? Until this doesn't happen, I'm not betting on anything different. It's happened every cycle now for 4 years, every 4 years, pump, dump, pump, dump. Fantastic. What an asset. What an opportunity for me to trade this. If I know it's going to do this pattern, what am I going to do? Am I going to hold it until this breaks? The trend is the friend. I'm going to buy here. I'm going to sell here. I'm going to buy here. I'm going to sell here. And instead of making, being at break even, instead of being at break even 5-6 years down the line, going, oh, I wish I'd have swung trade, I am swing trading, right? So I don't, can anyone argue with that? Because I don't see a way to really argue with this at all. Until this pattern changes, until we stop seeing these bear market, bull markets in such aggressive and synchronized fashion, I don't see another argument here to not swing trade. Nor would I buy BTC at 80k, knowing that I might be at loss in 5-7 years. I don't have this kind of time to sit in a loss. And I also have this amazing pattern that is generational wealth. Now, Coinbase will come out and say, hold, the financial system's changing. Yes, the financial system has changed in this niche, in this decentralized finance niche, because for the first time in history, we have a game. We have a game where we can buy and sell and buy and sell and assume that the pattern's going to continue. And it's kind of the game. A lot of newbies come in here, okay? Exit liquidity. Newbies come in here, exit liquidity, right? When we were selling Trump, I think I posted here. Yeah, I posted this the other day. Look where we sold Trump, okay? I said, took some profits. Thanks, Trump. 10x, right? We got in early. We were watching the markets as we do every single day. We saw it launch. We got in early. We made a huge, this is just the leverage trade, right? I also bought spot. We made huge gains. We also shorted Trump on the way down. I think we made another 10x on the way down. Who makes money? We make money because we're swing traders, because we know how this game works. And look where we sold. Now look at the price today. We literally, what was the price? $68. $68 was the price today. $2.34. Everyone who had money in here has lost everything. Everyone who believed that they weren't going to get rug pulled has lost everything. Same with World Liberty Fi, right? What did I say? World Liberty Fi. I expect this to swiftly come down to pre-sale price 0.05. The price at the time, 29 cents. What's the price today? I think it's literally 0.05, guys. Okay, completely wiped out. This is the game. This is the game. We have a beautiful game here. Altcoins is a little bit harder. It's not as slow as Bitcoin. Shout outs to everyone who bought Pokemon as well, guys, because we took profits from the market in November. So November, around the top of the market, and we started to buy Pokemon. And have you seen what's happened to Pokemon? The market cap is flying. We also had a sell signal from the SMC bot. So do you remember I mentioned the SMC bot earlier? We also had a sell signal from the SMC bot on World Liberty Finance. Yeah, look, guys, it pretty much hit my target of 0.05. So obviously we're talking about altcoins. It's a completely different game here. But yeah, shout outs to everyone who avoided this. I still think it's going to hit 0.01. That was my target for it to hit 0.01. I still think it's going to hit that. I've already closed my short positions and taken profits off that. So I don't think anyone can argue with this, and the trend is your friend until the end. Now, look, I'm sounding very confident here, and I could be wrong. Okay, don't forget that. I could be absolutely wrong about this. If I'm wrong, it's going to be the first time in history that this pattern has broke, and I'm willing to accept that. Okay, I'm willing to accept that, hey, I bet on the pattern playing out. It's played out consistently forever, and I was wrong. The pattern's changed. Now we're in a new era of this is the first time this has happened. How do we adapt to this? What's the strategy? What's the new all-time high target? Where could it go from here? Does DCA now come into the picture, because the pattern's now changed. It's different. Does DCA now become a strategy? That's adapting to the situation. Until then, there's no reason for me to DCA. And I think a lot of the KOLs who are bullish bought the top. I don't think they sold their portfolios. I don't think they sold everything. I know there was a lot of people who were buying, and this is just the start and we're going higher. A lot of people were saying altcoin season hasn't even arrived yet. And we were selling our altcoins a long time ago. I think we were selling our altcoins back in 2024. Look, yeah, see, we bought in the bear market. By the way, I only buy altcoins really in the bear market. So when Bitcoin bottoms, that's usually when altcoins bottom as well. Because a lot of people are saying, you're going to buy this here, buy that there. I just wait for Bitcoin to bottom and then I buy altcoins. And yeah, so we got render at 0.54. We sold it around $12.30. This was almost at the top as well, guys. Absolutely killed it. Same with Casper. We got Casper at 0.0045 in 2022. I said it could 30 to 60x. I think it done over 30x, right? And then we ended up selling and getting out of everything again. So yeah, we've been pretty good at this. Are we going to be right every time? Probably not. We also bought Quantum, so we took some profits from crypto and went into Quantum. That done really well as well. So yeah, guys, look, if you want to join the Discord, you can see some of our member wins here. Arthur, 91 old schooler, Chalkies when we were shorting Trump. Look at the price we were shorting Trump, $8. I think we even started shorting much higher than that. Yeah, what's this, Suri? Look at that, $2.36 entry. I think it's much cheaper than that now. I think it doesn't make sense to me to hold BTC, even though Michael Saylor wants us to. Michael Saylor wants to snap out of this pattern so bad, and he's doing everything he can. You have to remember, guys, that Michael Saylor has been buying more Bitcoin than he ever has, and look at the state of the chart. So if Saylor hadn't have put billions and billions and billions of dollars in here, where would the price be today? I think we'd already be at 50. We'd probably already be below 60, 50K, or we'd definitely be below 60K, but we might even be in the 50s or low 50s if Saylor hadn't have purchased. So just one person's allocation is kind of been propping and holding the market up. Not healthy at all, nor is how much supply he's actually holding. I think I tweeted this the other day. I think if you had 5 Saylors, or sorry, if you had 10 Michael Saylors, so 10 people who were as bullish as Michael Saylor, 50% of the supply would be held by 10 people. Can you imagine that? If there was just 9 more of him who decide, oh, I want as much as this, because there is trillionaires out there. Sorry, there's many billionaires out there who could raise a lot of capital, and like Tom Lee is now doing with Ethereum. They could buy 50% of the supply. Yeah, it's really crazy. It's kind of dangerous if people start owning 10% of the supply. Really, really dangerous. And people will argue that it's controlled. So the bulls love that he's buying the dip, but I don't know if it's that healthy long term. It's better for it to be decentralized. If Saylor messes up or does something wrong and has to liquidate, it's going to massacre the chart. It's going to absolutely massacre it. So yeah, it's kind of being propped up, but it's still in a downtrend. And don't forget, the stock market is at all-time high, guys. So we've still got to get through a stock market drawdown to get through this bear market. But normally it's 12 months from the top. Okay, so the top was around September, October. So normally we're looking at September, October this year. So we've still got a good few months before the bottom should potentially be in. And yeah, I don't think a lot of people are prepared for that kind of all-time high target next cycle. I don't think they quite understand how these drawdowns and rallies work, because if you're buying at 120K, you're not even 2x up at the potential all-time high next cycle, right? That's it. That was just the conservative normal case, right? It wasn't the bear case or bull case. You could argue, let's do a bull case. Okay, so let's say, what did we do? We done 400%, and we done it from 35K. Don't forget, right? Let's say bull case. Let's go 500%. Where does 500% take us to? 500% would take us to 218k, 220k, not too bad. I don't think many people would argue with that. Now, the way let's say we do have a bull case next cycle, we do push to 220. The way I would argue that is, if that's the all-time high next cycle, I need to buy as close to the bottom as possible. To make as many gains as possible, I need to buy as close as I can to the bottom. I'd also like to take a long position and put some leverage on that, because I know that the gains are diminishing. So I'd also like to have a long trade on there. Not a crazy amount. I'm not going to chase it with my entire portfolio. A few percent of my portfolio on a long trade with some leverage, which is going to also help me make some extra gains this cycle, right? So let me know what you think, and don't forget that the gains are diminishing. The drawdowns are diminishing as well. So, this 69% might drop to 65%. It might drop to 64%. Maybe eventually in many cycles it goes to 50% drawdown. Okay, so the game is also going to change over time, and you should see less volatility. So now it's very aggressive, right? It's very aggressive. Over time, this wave, it almost looks like a waveform if you're a music producer. This waveform should drop smaller and smaller over time, right? And kind of come into this like funnel where we don't see such aggressive swings. Doesn't mean we can't still swing trade it, okay? It might even become better to swing trade, because it should technically hit these resistance levels to the T, and it should come into this funnel zone, and it should become more consistent, because the market cap becomes bigger. It's harder to manipulate, and it takes a lot more money to manipulate, and you might see small manipulation, but for very short periods of time. So yeah, it could be interesting. It is going to be interesting. And the cool thing about this bear market is that if this drawdown does play out, so if we come down, you know what my prediction is for this cycle is between 40 and 50k. If it does come down to the 40, 50k range, we've absolutely nailed it, first of all, because we called the top around 125k, and now we're calling the bottom. So if we call the top and bottom, fantastic. But it also means once we find a bottom this cycle, I'm going to be able to really calculate where the top is going to be. Okay, so if we can, even when we bottom, I'm going to be able to run all the data, look at all the on-chain data, and I think we're going to be we're going to have a very good idea of where the top for next cycle is going to be. And of course, I'm going to be using all the other tools as well. So I think that's really interesting. That's my case for not making any sense to hold Bitcoin, okay? Because at some point or another, even if you hold now, unless it doesn't come below your average price, I mean, even if you started to DCA early at 100k, 90k, even if you got 82k, if your average price is 82k, you should be at a loss in 6-7 years. Does that sound smart to you? You should be at a loss in 6 or 7 years. That doesn't sound smart to me. This is what I love about stocks, is they don't go through these halving cycles, and a stock might do this and this, and it might do this. It's really unpredictable, but eventually it should over time do this, okay? And not have these, I mean, sometimes they do have 78% drawdowns, but it's just not programmed. It's not programmed in. They might have a 78% drawdown because of COVID or the financial crisis, right? Not because of a halving system that's been created. Maybe Satoshi wanted this. Maybe this was a part of the plan to have massive rallies, massive drawdowns. And what the massive rallies do, they suck in retail. And then the drawdowns are where the smart money and the VCs and the banks make a lot of money. They want it to come down. They know how to manipulate the market, so they create these crashes. You have these huge crashes, and then you have these huge rallies to the upside, which again sucks a lot of traders in, a lot of investors in. A lot of retail in, and then we use them as exit liquidity. It's a horrible game. It's a sad game, right? But that's how the game works. And even the retail who get wrecked, who come in, who stay and study the game, they're like, oh, right, okay, I know what I need to do next cycle. I need to wait for the bear market. I need to buy, and then I need to dump on retail, right? So we all level up over time. I love this game. I really, really love this game, and it didn't take me very long to understand it. I really studied market cycles in my first cycle. I studied market cycles, and I didn't sell the exact top, but I was taking profits, and I bought the dip. I knew I had to buy the dip. I was more excited about last bear market than I was about the bull run. So yeah, I really love this game. It's going to be really interesting to see where we bottom this cycle, because after that we're going to have a really good idea of where the top of the market is. Guys, none of the information in this video is financial advice. Do your own research. Investing in anything, investing in crypto, stocks, housing, anything is highly risky. You can lose all of your money. So make sure you are doing your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just my strategy, what I'm doing, my opinions. Don't forget to go and check out the gem that I dropped you guys earlier. Come and join the group. I think we've got like 1,000 members in our Discord now. We're all looking for the next best stocks. We're all chatting. We're all working together every day, looking at the news, the market, opinions. And we've all got different opinions. Some people think we bottomed at 60K. That's fine, right? No one knows. We're all trying to predict the future and adapt with that. But I like to highlight my strategy and what I would do if I'm wrong, and why I'm not betting on this time's different, why I think that's a very dangerous strategy, and also why I'm probably one of the few people who are saying hodl is the worst strategy ever. Okay, swing is my strategy, and I think I've demonstrated that in this video. I'm not going to be sitting here at a loss because I DCA'd in 6 years. All right, especially if I DCA at 70K and we do hit 35K, I'm going to be extremely depressed. I know that if I buy more, I'm still going to be roughly at entry or at a loss in 6 years. Not for me at all. Not for me. I want to try to make sure that I am capitalizing on these swings, because for me it seems like the only way to make money. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. And although I've been away, guys, actually I didn't even show you guys, but I linked up with my team for the first time. I think I did post it. Yeah, look, I linked up with my team. Big up the group, big up the squad. Cotton Bricks and Doggo. Took them out in London. It was amazing, man. So I'd just like to big up the community. We got such an amazing community, such an amazing bunch of guys, and we had an amazing time in London. And we're building this website now, this AI website that's going to help us predict even more, hopefully, of these moves in the markets. And it's going to be tracking stocks. It's going to be looking for chart patterns. It's like an agent in a way that goes out and actively looks around the market for chart patterns, chart setups, predictions on short calls and long calls. It's really sick. And we built the algorithm from scratch. And yeah, I'm really excited for the next cycle, man. And I'm in build mode right now. It's the bear market. There's not a lot going on, guys. That's why I've not been making many videos. It's just boring. It's really hard when you sell everything. The hardest part is just sitting out. You get FOMO. You see these pumps and dumps. You get cravings to get in the market, when sometimes the smartest thing to do is just sit on your hands and just let it all dump, right? I mean, imagine buying that OLAS dip, because here it looked like a bottom. There would have been people calling for a bottom here, right? And it looked like it was kind of bottoming. Oh, maybe this is the bottom. Maybe we're going to see a V-shaped recovery. Rug. Like, lost everything. And so many altcoins are going to do this. They're going to look like they've bottomed. Everyone's going to get FOMO. And it's kind of another opportunity of exit liquidity for the smart money, for the whales, for the VCs, for everyone who's getting distributed their monthly VC allocation. And until you see the flat line, I think I've got a good example of it here. Yeah, see where render flatlined here, and this is where Bitcoin bottomed as well. So not only did it flatline, Bitcoin bottomed, and I posted here, just DCA'd some more into render. Sorry, this is when I took profits for the exit bag, right? Done a small DCA into render. It's really come down a lot. We're getting a lot of sideways action and finding some kind of floor. And also BTC was around 16, 20K here as well, right? So I'm not really going to start buying my altcoins until they bottom. And this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for BTC to bottom. And I'm looking for this range here on altcoins. All the little fake pump and dumps. I'm looking for that rug pull bottom. This is seller exhaustion. You see where it's not going any lower here. Every time it comes down, it's just not going lower, not going lower, not going lower. It's seller exhaustion, and traders are trying to like pump it. And can we get this lower? Can we get this lower? No. And then the assets tend to bottom, and that's where we made a lot of our money this cycle on render, right? We made a 25x and we sold at 12.30, like almost the top, smashed it. Guys, yeah, that's it for now. If you like the video, like, subscribe, and also drop in the comments if you want me to do any more content. I'm really stuck for ideas on what to do content about, but I feel like this was a pretty good educational video, just explaining some of my strategies and thesis behind doing certain things. And look, there's people in my group who are DCAing into BTC, and that's fine, right? If you're thinking 10, 15, 20 years down the line, you don't care if you're in a loss in 6 years or 5 years. That's fine. That's fine. But to me, this makes sense. To me, this is a game. It pumps every 4 years. It dumps every 4 years. Brilliant. I'm going to take advantage of those moves. Yeah, that's it for now. Until then, I'll catch you guys in the next one.